are the most dramatic events ever captured by the eyewitness camera. Here are the pictures that made headlines, the headlines that made history. We're going to show you those pictures, and then we're going to ask you some questions. You'll have 5 seconds to answer each one. Let's see how much you know about movies' greatest headlines. May 6, 1937. The dirigible Hindenburg, last of the great lighter-than aircraft, completes her ocean voyage from Germany and noses down to the mooring mast at a New Jersey airfield. And then, she's aflame. In seconds, the great silver cigar is a fiery inferno. Before your very eyes, this queen of the skies is consumed by tongues of flame. Here is a scene no one will ever forget. But can you remember, where did this disaster take place? It was at Lakehurst, New Jersey, that the dirigible Hindenburg burned itself into a charred ruin. A great fleet at sea. A British battleship bucks the North Atlantic storms, carrying Winston Churchill, Britain's wartime leader, to a meeting with an American fleet at Argentia Bay, Newfoundland. This conference of American and British leaders, held before America's entry into the World War, becomes the occasion for the signing of a great document, stating for all the world the aims of these two great nations in the international scene. What document was signed at this meeting? That document was the Atlantic Charter, in which Churchill for Britain and Roosevelt for the United States set down their countrymen's hopes for a peaceful post-war world. The morning of December 7, 1941, a Japanese fleet steams close to the island of Hawaii and launches the airstrike which set the island and the world aflame. Captured Jap films show the attackers screaming out of a quiet Sunday morning sky. Catch an important American base asleep with planes on the ground. Moments later, the field is a smoking ruin. Name the major airfield in Hawaii attacked by the Japs. It was Hickam Field in Hawaii which received the first bombs of the Japanese attack on the American citadel, Pearl Harbor. A nation puts its flags at half-mast to mourn the passing of an American president. Franklin Delano Roosevelt's body is carried to its final resting place amid scenes of deepest grief and emotion. The people weep as an historic era of American life comes to a close. Where is Roosevelt buried? Roosevelt is buried at Hyde Park, New York. Rifle volleys echo over the grave of the president, who left his imprint on a page of history. The first post-war Olympics. A gathering of sports lovers in London in 1948 watches the relay race that precipitated an international dispute. Running in staggered lanes, the sprinters come into the last lap of the 400-meter relay. The American takes the pass for the bell lap and strides off to victory. But the officials rule that pass was made outside the legal zone. The American team is disqualified, and the British team declared the winner. In the famous dispute which followed, which team was declared the winner by the camera? The American team was declared the winner, and the camera tells you why. Here's the pass frozen for you. The runner's foot is inside the mark. The pass is legal, and the camera expedites another victory for international sportsmanship. Here is the White House in Washington, home of American presidents. We're going to show you some of the men who have occupied the chair of the chief executive. All but one of these men was vice president before he became president. Which one of them was never vice president? Theodore Roosevelt in rare pictures almost half a century old. Calvin Coolidge, the man they called Silent Cal. Herbert Hoover, the apple-cheeked man known as the great engineer. Harry Truman takes office. Which man was never vice president? The answer is Herbert Hoover, the sage of Palo Alto who lived to become one of America's elder statesmen. Here is a bridge that made history. Galloping Gertie, writhing in a windswept gorge, makes these unforgettable pictures of the bridge that danced itself to death. Near what city was this bridge? It was near Tacoma, Washington, that Galloping Gertie sang the song of the bridge that came falling down and then crumbled into the river below, proving that nature in her fury can destroy man's mightiest works. For more than 2 decades, Benito Mussolini reigns as dictator, matching strength with other Axis powers, screaming his threats and boasts to wildly cheering crowds. But the dictator guesses wrong. He chooses to fight with Hitler. And Allied victories eventually force his trial, his execution, and his humiliation by Italian partisans. Can you remember who succeeded Mussolini as head of the Italian government? It was Marshal Badoglio who headed the Italian government as Mussolini ends a dictator's life head down on a scaffold. A bitter picture lesson for dictators everywhere to study. Officers and men count the seconds before the first underwater atomic explosion in mankind's history. Observers await the historic results. As the clock moves toward zero, where was the first underwater atomic explosion? It was Baker Day at Bikini, when the unleashed power of the atom created the mightiest ocean quake ever seen by man. 1 million tons of radioactive water are hurled into the sky. A vast tidal wave engulfs the target ships in a frightening demonstration of the power of man's newest weapon. And the camera is again an eyewitness at one of movie's greatest headlines.